This is dinner tonight. I'm gonna grill a couple pork chops with some grilled figs. And then we're gonna have a couple of squashes. This is a Delicatta squash. It's really yummy. I'm gonna fry it up with some peanut oil. And then I'm gonna add some balsamic vinegar and some fresh parsley from my garden. And I'm just gonna, this is a sunshine squash. It's almost the same color inside, which is very beautiful, but it cooks up to be very dense. And I'm just gonna cook it and mash it up. You can see that I've cut the sunshine squash in half, and I'm cutting the Delicatta squash in half. And I'm gonna scoop out the seeds, and I'm actually gonna save the seeds and roast them because I've discovered that they're just as good as roasted pumpkin seeds.
There's a lot of them.
I'm gonna pour some peanut oil into the pan and get it nice and hot.
And hot means not smoking. And what did you do here?
I'm just slicing the Delicatta squash.
You scooped out all the seeds with a spoon, and you're saving the seeds.
And after I get this cut, you want to cut it as thinly as you can. The thinner the better.
These are about 1/8 of an inch, but you know, someone like Gordon Ramsay could do it paper thin so you could see through it. You'd be really good.
There's a,
oh, look at that. There's a Gordon Ramsay.
which was a mistake for me.
Because if you cook them thin, you're at risk of burning. So, no, what I said about heating the oil, you never want oil to smoke. That means you've gone past its burn point, and it's going to get an acrid taste.
You can just test it by throwing one in. Not
It
ready.
should sizzle.
It should sizzle.
And you shouldn't do what she just did with her fingers.
It wasn't hot.
That's starting to sizzle, so it's close. So in this nice spread of the ingredients that were to come, there's this one thing you didn't mention that's being prepped for a future episode. And you want to say what that was?
That is the buds left over after the chive, not the chive, the garlic chives flower dies off. And I am fermenting them, hoping that they come out to be like a caper, so I can put them over fish.
So fermented garlic chive buds, and we're trying to brine them in a way that would make something like a caper. So a little experimentation. I think the way you can tell they're not ready is there's not a change in the color at the edges. That's my guess. Or maybe the whole thing changes.
The edges are brown. Let's see if Kevin's right. Maybe.
Look at how the color's different. Now, what time? And why? Popping. What's popping? They're popping like popcorn seeds. So the squash kernels are done, and Janet is seeding it with what?
Salt.
So what do we have?
I'm going to season these pork chops with the seasoning a friend of mine made. It's called Sebego seasoning. I have no idea what it is in it, but she says it's good with pork. It's a pork rub.
Take a look
Here
at the
it
label.
is.
We have pork chops with Sebego something P to the something power. With fresh figs. Those are tough to find in the United States, I'll tell you. And what do you have that's just all the way up?
Out.
The gas is all the way up for this. And we don't want them to get white more than like 1/3 of the way from the bottom before we start churning it. How do you tell when they're ready to flip?
I don't know.
Now, what is the name of the brown, this reaction that created the brown stripe?
Maillard.
Maillard reaction.
Oh, close enough.
We were just comparing the difference between similar reactions. One is based on starch and sugar called caramelization, and then one is called the Maillard reaction, which is protein. Now we're going to switch this. See the skin starting to split on the food.
This is just a little bit of
Balsamic vinegar. Balsamic is aged, and it looks like it's got a little...
We have our nice glazed pork chops. Not glazed, what are they called? Maillard, with some nice...
Maillard reaction.
Some
You
nice
didn't
figs.
put anything, there's no sauce or anything on it.
No.
Just a dry rub. Okay?
And this is the Delicatta squash with the parsley and balsamic vinegar. We have roasted sunshine squash, sweetened with a little maple syrup. You can see it right there, it ran off the sides, and some of the fried seeds on top, just for a little crunch. And I'm hoping we have dessert for dinner, because Kevin made poached pears in bourbon sauce? Or something?
Yes, poached pears in a bourbon masala.